two favorite productivity must for small business owners. You're going to want to hear this.
You are not just another hustling salesperson. You are the expert, the resource, the valuable partner for your clients. And how you grow your business should reflect how your clients see you. Welcome to the Roadmap to Grow Your Business podcast. We generate referrals without asking, build positive client experiences, and help you take control of your business. Here's your charmingly sarcastic host, Stacey Brown Randall.
Hey there, and welcome to episode 173 of the Roadmap to Grow Your Business podcast. I'm your host, Stacey Brown Randall. Okay, this was supposed to be a short series on productivity tips, or what I call productivity must, for small business owners. But I decided to condense it into one episode because when I looked at the editorial calendar for the episodes we have coming up now through the end of the year, hello, fourth quarter, I just wanted to make sure we had time to dive in to the series that's coming up next, which is our secret weapons of referrals without asking. That's going to start next week. So just to make everything work, instead of a short series of productivity tips for small business owners, we're just going to do it in this one episode, which means I also condensed my tips down to just my two favorite must. Now, if you don't know my backstory, I actually used to be a productivity and business coach. When my first business failed and I had to go back to corporate America, I actually got certified as a productivity coach and kind of knew that that was going to be my exit strategy when I left my corporate job. And so I left my corporate job, started as a productivity and business coach, focused mostly, I would say mostly, not completely, but mostly on small business owners. Those are the folks, right? Those are the people that I love to help because I am one of those people and I totally get what we go through. So when I was a productivity coach, there were lots of things that I would teach. And there are some things that I do today that I do naturally, instinctively, because I've been doing them for a decade. I mean, my very first productivity boot camp where I first started learning all this productivity stuff, on top of the fact that I'm kind of built this way as well. Like some people are amazing at math, I'm amazing at being organized when I choose to be. And so when my very first boot camp that I went through my own training for myself was actually 2008. I think I was pregnant with Jacob at the time, or I had just had him. So it was 2008, 2009. I'm not completely sure, but I've been following productivity methodology for a really long time. Now, I don't coach it anymore, but it is very much a part of how I run my business. And from time to time, I will have people ask, hey, what are some things that you can tell me about just being more productive? So I thought I would do this episode focused on my two favorites. And here's the thing. There are things that I do instinctively that I kind of forget they were a strategy or a tactic that I learned earlier, and that now they're just part of my second nature. But then there are things that I am constantly trying to get better at. So I picked from that group. I picked from the things that I am trying to get better at today, and that always shifts and changes for me based on what's happening in my life and in my business as well. So I've got two for you. Let's dive into number one. The first one I want to tell you about, productivity must number one, is setting daily priorities. And I don't mean what's urgent. I mean what is important. We all have those things that we should do today and we don't do, and then by Friday they become super urgent because they're either overdue or due that day. And so we have to focus on getting them done. Urgent definitely has a place in our lives, usually because we procrastinate. But what I want you to think about from your priority perspective is what is actually important. What are actually the important things you need to do on a daily basis that's going to move your business forward? You probably have heard these referred to as your MITs, your most important things. And typically you should have 1, 2, maybe 3 MITs, most important things to do every day. Now, I'm just looking at this Monday through Friday, but of course you probably have some MITs in your personal life as well. But when we think about setting our daily priorities or our daily MITs, it's important that we focus on what a priority is. And that is the things that are important that will move our business forward, but are typically not urgent. Now, sometimes you're going to have an urgent priority because, well, it's urgent and you've got to get it done. But most of the time, these are the things that you want to make sure you accomplish because it moves your business forward step by step on a daily basis while still accomplishing probably all the other tasks or items on your to-do list. So whereas I may have on my to-do list today to mail out a number of the bonuses, which is this thank you pack that people get when they join the GBR program, I may have it on my schedule today to mail those out. That's not necessarily a priority. It's a task on my to-do list and it needs to go into the mail on a specific day because that's the promise that we made when people joined the program. But at the end of the day, it's not a priority. It's something that needs to get done. And if it's delayed by one day, it's probably not the end of the world, but it is just a task on my to-do list. I have those just like you do every single day. But I also have my MITs, my most important things, my priorities. Now, I recommend that you set your priorities the day before for the next day. Actually, trying to figure out what your priorities are is actually an intense energy, brain draining exercise. So the last thing you want to do is wake up in the morning and be like, okay, what are my priorities for today? And like use some of your good brain power in that moment, thinking about what you're going to do. I'd rather you shut your day down knowing, okay, tomorrow, here are my MITs. Here are my priorities for tomorrow. And priorities could be one big priority, like you need to move a project forward and take some pretty big steps, which are some pretty big to-dos or tasks. Or it could be small things that you're doing every day that's moving a priority forward. So whether it's an activity type an activity type task that you're doing, or you're taking the next step in a project type task, whatever it is, they're your daily priorities. But you have to get them done first is preference in the midst of everything else on your calendar, whether it's meetings, deadlines, all the 100 million Zoom calls you're on, right? In addition to the to-dos on your to-do list. But we should set our priorities and our goal should be to get them done. I recommend no more than 3 priorities in a day. And even in some cases, that's too much. My priorities fluctuate depending on what my day looks like. So on a day where I have a lot of training, or a day where I'm with a lot of my GBR VIPs, or a day where I have my inner circle golds hanging out for our one-on-one sessions, I'm probably not going to have too many priorities or tasks on my to-do list because I don't have the space and time for them. There's nothing worse than looking at your calendar and realizing that you're in back-to-back meetings with only 2 hours that are free, one for lunch and one at the end of the day, and then putting 15 different tasks or priorities on your list, knowing there's no way you're going to get to those with only 2 hours of space in the margin to get work done. So your priorities and your task list should shift based on what time you have available to get your things done. So again, I may say 1, 2, or 3. That doesn't mean there's always up to 3 priorities on your to-do list. But the other thing about priorities is they're not urgent. They're just important. They move your business forward. And when you get them done, you will feel amazing and hopefully have great results because of them, or position yourself to have great results. But because they're not urgent, they typically get ignored in the daily crazy busyness of each and every workday. So you need a level of accountability that will help you accomplish your MITs. Now, there's this one fabulous tip I want to share with you. It's not mine. It's actually from Benjamin Hardy. He is a great productivity kind of guru. He's, you know what, I don't know if I should use the term guru. I don't know if that's what he would call himself, but he is definitely an expert. He's more than just productivity. But I get his emails. It's like, you have those emails that you open every week and read, or you either go listen to the podcast episode or go watch the YouTube video, whatever content they're providing to you to educate you every week. He is one of the ones that I actually open typically every week. I hope my email that comes out to you guys every Tuesday is one of the ones that you open as well. That's just an aside. But Benjamin Hardy is who this idea came from. And I think it's fabulous. And that's picking an accountability partner, picking a priorities accountability partner or an MIT's accountability partner. And it's really simple. And I do this with somebody. We've been doing this now for 7 weeks at the time of this recording. And I have found that it has really helped, particularly if you have a little competitiveness in you. Not that you're competing with your accountability partner, you're just competing with yourself. And what you do is every morning, she and I will we will text each other our top priorities. This isn't a conversation we're getting into, right? We're both busy. We both have kids. We both run businesses. This is a 1, and then the priority is written out. 2, and then the second priority. 3, and then the third priority, or whatever. Maybe sometimes it's just 1, sometimes it's 2, sometimes there's a personal priority thrown in there. It is literally just a text message that goes to my accountability partner that basically maps out the 3 priorities or 2 priorities, the priorities I have for that day. And then at the end of the day, I text her back and I just literally say 1 out of 3 or 3 out of 3, depending on how many I accomplished that day. The goal, of course, is to improve your score every day and getting more and more of your priorities accomplished. Yes, in the 7 weeks we've been doing this, sometimes there's a big fat 0 out of 2 or 3, right? I mean, it does happen. And some days I completely forget to do it. It is slowly becoming more and more of a habit that she and I are falling into. But it's important for you to note that what this is, it is very much transactional. It is, here's mine, then she shares hers, or vice versa. And then at the end of the day, it's here's my score. And then she shares what her score is as well. We don't get into these like full-blown conversations every day. It's just sharing our priorities. That doesn't mean we don't, right? Not only are we accountability partners in this, we're also friends. And so we do obviously have some conversations that happen around business and life within those text messages, but they are really solely focused on here's my priorities. First thing in the morning, here's how I did. Now, this is easy to do first thing in the morning because I've set my priorities the day before. So I already know what that text is going to look like. And sometimes I've already typed it out in draft form and just send it the day of, right? So I don't send them the night before because we want to be able to look back and just clearly see, okay, on Monday, here are the priorities. Here's how you did. And so that's why we send ours in the morning. That doesn't mean sometimes they don't get sent the night before or later in the day when we get around to remembering. We're not perfect at this, but we're getting better. But that's what I want you to think about, setting your daily priorities. What are they? And are you sharing them with somebody that you can then report in at the end of the day on how you did? Now, a little game that I'm playing with myself is that when I look at my schedule, a lot of times my day ends right around 3 p.m. because that's the time I leave to go get the kids from school. Sometimes I come back and I have more calls or more work to do. Sometimes I don't and I shut my day down. On the days where I shut my day down, I want to try to have my priorities done before then. So for me, it's like, can I get my priorities done before 3 p.m. in addition to the other things I need to do that day and be able to share that by 3 p.m. Because that really means my day can be done for the day, as long as I have nothing hanging over my head that is probably an urgent to do. And so that's just a little game that I play with myself, kind of just keeping it fresh. And I am competitive, so I can really motivate myself in that way. And I kind of know that about myself. I don't do it every day, but the days that I can definitely get those priorities done, I'm like on it, want to have it done by 3 o'clock. So I'm reporting in at like 3:30, usually while I'm sitting waiting for my kids to come out of school. I'm reporting in on what I've accomplished. So just something for you guys to consider. I think it's a productivity must. It's the things that'll help move your business forward. All right. Productivity must number 2 is creating an ideal schedule. There is nothing easy about this must. There's nothing easy about this productivity tip. But when you create it and then you're able to stick with it and live it, it is a very beautiful thing. I have some friends that I know that only work 3 days a week or 2 days a week. It's pretty incredible. And you know who you are. So when you think about creating an ideal schedule, there's a lot that goes into you being able to get your business to a point where you can have an ideal schedule. Now, I'm not saying, like, for me, the ultimate ideal schedule would be where I only work 2 or 3 days a week. I think that would be freaking incredible. And in the summers, there's a lot of times where I don't work Fridays. And that is awesome. And there's a lot of times where I don't work Fridays and then yet, I do. So your ideal schedule is whatever it is for you, but I see ideal schedules going in like tiers. There's like the holy grail of whatever you want your ideal schedule to be, where you only work 1 hour a day. I don't know. Maybe it's you only work 3 days a week, whatever it is, right? And then you crafting your business around to support that. But it does take time. This isn't something you do overnight. But backing off of that, is this a level down or 2 is what I really like to think about as a good place to start to aim for from an ideal schedule. So maybe that's no meetings on Monday so that you can get a lot of work done. Maybe that's no meetings in the mornings. So that's when you get your work done, your MITs done, right? And then you're taking meetings lunchtime on through your day. Maybe that's not taking any meetings on Mondays and Fridays. Maybe that is having a whole day in a month where you chunk out one big project that you do reoccurring every month and you hold to that and you don't let anybody, employees or clients or prospects, invade that day. Your ideal schedule is just that, yours. Mine, I love it when I can ease into my days. My husband and I typically, as it's getting colder, this kind of shifts, but we typically get up, we go for a walk, then I'm watering the vegetables and things like that. He's walking the dog. We're getting the kids up. We're trying to be focused on them and not on our phones so we can have a quiet, yes, less yelling morning in the household. And then he takes the kids to school. Sometimes I do. Let's be honest, I'm getting a Starbucks somewhere in there. And then I can sit down and I can just work. And then my meetings and stuff don't start until after 11, sometimes after 12, and I'm wrapping them up and trying to shut them down by 3 p.m. so that I can go get the kids. Like that, and then I don't work on Fridays. That is an ideal schedule to me, but that means I'm basically working 4 days. But I'm also really only working from probably around maybe 8, usually 9, sometimes 9:30, and I'm done at 3. It also means I have to work differently in those hours. And it also means I have to have my business built to sustain me so that I'm only focusing on certain things and not the everything of my business, which is why lots of things get outsourced. I have a virtual assistant. Things happen in my world as well to allow myself that ideal schedule. So I'm not talking about you going from working 80 hours a week to like, I'm going to try to work 2 days next week. Like that is, well, that's ludicrous. You got to stair step yourself into creating an ideal schedule. And my ideal schedule changes based on time of year. My summer schedule looks different than my school schedule when my kids are in school. In the summer, I want all my meetings in the morning. So by the time my kids get their hindies out of bed and have done their chores and some of the school stuff we make them do during the summer, and they're like, hey, can we go to Carowinds or can we go to the pool or can we go somewhere? I'm like, yes, because I'm done working. And so that looks a little bit different. Or a lot of times it's, can you just take me to my friend's house? That's sometimes what it looks like too. But so my schedule flips summer versus school season. I want my December to look a little bit different than say my March would look because it's the holidays. So it's understanding what your ideal schedule looks like and then recognizing you're going to stair step into this. I first started with taking off Fridays. Then I started working around not really having that many meetings on Mondays. And that's how I got to an ideal schedule in the summertime. That flips though, like I said, when school starts. Now I don't try to take any meetings on Fridays unless it's something personal that I want to do. And I try to use that, right, for moving my business forward. And then the mornings are my time to get work done. And then for me, I'm available in the afternoons, like lunchtime-ish and later as I help the students in my GBR program, or I talk to people who want to join the GBR program, or I'm doing trainings for my inner circle members, or I'm doing the live check-in for my Goal Finisher Club members once a month. Like whatever it is, all those things typically happen in the afternoons. And that is an ideal schedule for me for right now. But as the school schedule changes, or as my business evolves, which it is constantly doing, then the schedule of the ideal calendar, right, the ideal schedule will change as well. You may know where you ultimately want to be with your ideal schedule. I'm just asking you to stair step into it and try to conquer one thing that would be important to you, and then go to the next level, and then go to the next level and add things in. It takes time and planning in advance to get there, right? If I don't want to have meetings before 11 a.m. or noon, I've got to make sure that anytime a calendar link of mine goes out, there's no availability in the mornings. Like it's things like that that set you up to be successful. So there you have it. 2 of my favorite, what I'm really working on and really focused on right now of my productivity must that I think would serve, yes, small business owners, solopreneurs, but really anybody trying to have a little bit of control over what they can control in their business and in their days. So number 1, setting your daily priorities and having someone hold you accountable to completing them, reporting into someone, and creating an ideal schedule, but recognizing you may just have to go in phases, or you may have to go step by step to get there. All right. You guys know what to do if you want to come back and find more information on this episode at the show notes page at stacybrownrandall.com/173. But I would also love it if you guys jumped into our Referrals Without Asking Facebook group and shared with me your favorite productivity must that is serving you very well right now. Share it. Look for the 173 post in our Referrals Without Asking Facebook group and share the productivity must that is working for you, or one that you're working to conquer, one that you're working to master as well. And coming up next week is episode 174, and we are diving in to 5 secret weapons of referrals without asking. Until then, take control and grow your business. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening to the Roadmap to Grow Your Business podcast. To access all resources and links mentioned in today's show and to connect with Stacy, head over to www.stacybrownrandall.com.